Try to use a little technology and record Philip's presentation, so we hope it'll be available for all of you. So Philip, thank you so much for being here, and it's just a blessing for us to hear you.
All right, wobbly pins, get up here and get on the ball. Wie geht's es Ihnen heute?
Mir geht es gut. Ich habe eine Frage. I got a question in English. You're going to give this presentation in Deutsch or English?
Ich spreche both. Speaking of that, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, if you like German and you like good music, seriously good music, April the 3rd, the combined choir of Canterbury Methodist and Birmingham Southern College with the Alabama Symphony Orchestra at 4 o'clock that Sunday afternoon is going to present the Brahms Requiem. Full orchestra and 2 choirs in German. But there'll of course be programs with the translation. And I can tell you, they've given me the privilege of being the sponsor to it, and it's going to be it'll be a citywide treat. It's open for the public, so you might want to come promptly enough to get a good seat. But it will be first rate, and I think that our membership and all who come will enjoy it, because that happens to be one of the most popular, serious, long-length, religious-related musical events that I can think of. It is extremely popular. It is very easy to remember and very easy to assimilate if you don't know it. I sang it about 50 years ago. And they've loved it ever since. That's one reason I've gotten involved with Lester and the choir. And we will have the full Alabama Symphony right here, the works. And that's going to be a big event for the church. And I think those of you that like serious music will enjoy being there. But thank you for the privilege of speaking to you today. It's probably my swan song. When you get y'all are talking about birthdays and so forth, wait till you get to 93, and then you hadn't got many ahead of you after face. So you better get whatever you got on your mind out, because you're not going to have many chances. And this may be probably my last chance, but for that reason, I would like to talk to you a little bit about. It's very egocentric that I'm going to be today. I hate to admit it, but at the same time, I'm doing so in hopes that you will be egocentric and decide, what do you really believe? Yeah, you're having those birthdays pretty short-lived in the future. And it's not too early for you to decide, what do I really believe? And that is important. How long is eternity? We don't know. Will you share it? We don't know. Everything is a big question mark for most of us in this room. Let's be candid about that. And it's for that reason to encourage you to think yourself about your own future, that I'm going to go ahead and expose myself to a degree and give you some ideas of what I believe, in hopes that you in turn will stop and say, what do I really believe? Why am I here? Where am I going? That's not an easy question, is it? At the same time, it's something I think we all ought to concentrate on. And for that reason, I've written all this out, as you can see, but it'll be passed out, and you can read it in more detail as to some of my ideas and what's really behind them. It's been a tough job, frankly, to make this talk. I have been going to Sunday school classes for 90 blooming years. Multiply that out, 52 times 90, you know, and think how many times you've heard a Sunday school class. And of course, a valid question is, did you learn anything? Did you just eat the cake? And I'll pause to thank you for that very generous gesture. Isn't it wonderful to have one of our more recent members perform so many wonderful tasks for us, teaching and welcoming in itself in the face of all that you've been through the last year. And I'm grateful for your presence. And I'm sure you all feel the same way. Yeah. What did I write down so carefully that I'm about to forget to say? In talking about what you believe, this is not unpleasant. No, on the contrary. I think it's important, but it's not unpleasant. Because the present with that you're enjoying and I'm enjoying today is wonderful. Have you thought about how wonderful it is to be alive today and to hear how many people whose lives are exposed to be shortened through wartime and disagreement, and to think what a joy and privilege we have to be alive. But having said that, it is not unreasonable to admit that is not an indefinite future for any of us. And we're all going to have to live a different existence. None of us know when that will be. The fact that I'm the oldest member of the class may or may not mean that I'll be the first to say goodbye. We don't know. And with all that background, let me be real rash and say, okay, Jackson, what do you believe? And I'll go ahead and give you a short list. First, and most importantly, I sincerely believe that there is a God who is over the universe. You notice I said universe. One tiny, tiny, tiny little speck of it is the earth, and one tiny little speck of that earth is me here. And how can I be so arrogant as to think that my part is important to God? I don't know whether God is feminine or masculine or finite or infinite, but I know God is real. It's not a fictional idea. To me, God exists. And it is God's universe, not mine. I've just got a privilege of sharing a little part of it for a short while. And I'm grateful for that. And I think that imposes a duty on me to be a vital part of that. To not just be a side observer that says, oh, look what's happening to everybody in the world today. I think that imposes a duty on me to be a part of it. Yes, I think that the world will continue to exist. I cannot tell you with certainty that the earth will be part of it as it exists. There are times I get very discouraged, frankly, that we, you and me, or me and you, or all of us, will do something incredibly foolish so that humanity may not be part of that existence in the future. We don't know, do we? But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to enjoy the world that I'm living in while I have hopes of some type of existence in the world to come. Now, we call that eternity. We call that immortality. We've got different names for it. But I am frankly convinced that all of us will have the opportunity to be part of whatever that future world is going to be. Think about that a minute. We don't know what it's going to be, but we expect to be part of it. And therefore, our attitude today influences the part we play. Ooh, excuse me. That's pretty nasty, isn't it? That's pretty nasty. But I sincerely believe it. Next, I believe time is linear, not circular. Now, there are many people in the world that believe time is circular, but I believe it's linear. And therefore, what I do today influences the future. I respect those people that think it's circular because some of us don't catch on very rapidly. and we just keep doing the same stupid thing all the time. My teaching this lesson may be the greatest stupidity of them all. Whatever it's going to be is beyond my comprehension. And I suspect it's beyond yours too. But at the same time, we have hope. And hope is a vital part of my existence today, just like it is yours. And I think without hope, it would be a very, very discouraging life today that we all live. But we've got it. I believe we have two existences. We have the physical existence we have here today, sure. But I honestly believe that when I die, I will continue to have some type of individual, finite existence. Now that is a pretty rash thing for me to say, isn't it? But I sincerely believe it. And therefore, what I do today has some influence over what I may be tomorrow after I die. Is that serious? It's incredibly serious and incredibly important. And I know some of you have already said, well, I hope it's soon. But I think all humans have two existences. And unfortunately, we don't pay attention to the second one while we enjoy the first one. you in this class and in all Sunday schools in the world, I think a testimonial to the fact that we do think that we're going to have a second existence of some type is the reason you're here today, trying to learn and trying to be part of the first, so that you will be a better part of the second, however it may exist. And we have. I'm a bipolar person. I have a present existence, but then that future existence is going to be a spiritual existence. It may not be real, but it will be real if I have any awareness in that future existence. And therefore, having a dual existence today and tomorrow influences how to react to today. And I think you're being here and trying to learn and listen to my barble is part of what you're doing, is the reason that you're here. And I need to respect that. Of course you say, well, you're making things very discouraging, Philip, because there's no way I could be aware after I die of what a sorry job I've done while I was alive. What's the answer to that? The answer is obvious. Jesus. And that was, I think, however God exists, I think that was God's answer to me and to you. How do you solve that problem? Because I'm a sorry little rascal. And do I spend eternity being sorry for myself? That's not a very happy prospect, is it? For human existence. And God created a son called Jesus to solve that problem. And I believe Jesus does solve that problem. And it's the fact that Jesus has accepted my sins to let me present myself in what I would call an acceptable form before God for eternity. Now stop and go through those words again. Accept me before God for eternity. Wow. I almost hesitate to mention them because that is so huge of what I just said. But at the same time, I'm absolutely convinced that it is true. And I'm absolutely convinced that it's true for each one of you, as well as for me. And lastly, I believe the Holy Spirit exists. I see it constantly. Don't you? Don't you see something that you can't explain, except to the extent that something extra normal, extra real is happening that causes things to be different from what you expected? Yes, occasionally that's bad, I'll admit, and that creates a little, wait a minute, Jackson, you lit it on that too much? No, I don't think so. I think the existence of the Holy Spirit in this earth, a tiny part of existence, is how it all makes sense today, real for you and for me. That the existence of the Holy Spirit gives me hope. It gives me hope not only for the future, but it gives me hope that we will have a better present existence on earth in the future. And that encourages me then to be a part of that, doesn't it? If I've got hope that we're going to have a better world, why am I not part of that effort to make it so? And therefore, the Holy Spirit is an important part of what I think, that I believe. Now, having said all of that, what I suggest that each one of you stop and make their own little list, like I just had. Because if you made that list, I think you will live stronger today and have more confidence about whatever tomorrow is going to be. And therefore, you're effectively investing in your own future by doing something today. And are we not selfish enough to do that? Because it's all a selfish effort. I can't make your list. I wouldn't try. But I could beg you to stop and make your own list. Then, yes, you can come like I just have and share it with the rest of us to help us live happily today with a confidence about the future, like I hope you will. Thank you.
Thank you so much.